And there he is. Look at this. There
Okay.
he is. Oi, oi. How you doing, pal? You good?
Good. Yourself?
Very well, pal. I was saying just before you joined the chat that I thought it was a little bit of a cool joke, marketing setting us up, seeing as we spent 4 days in a hotel room talking to each other. It wasn't just in a hotel room, it was on the Tampa incentive. But I was surprised we've got anything else to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm still bearing some of the scars from that trip, actually. Unfortunate Tyler before. But yes, it was, yeah, apparently we do still have stuff to talk about, Tyler.
Well, what a trip, right? And maybe we should start off by talking about that. For anyone who doesn't know, this wasn't PRG just sending me and Dewey away on our honeymoon together to Tampa. It was part of an incentive which we both hit together. I think it was 20, maybe 21 of us in total, 4 or 5 days in Tampa, luxury living, quality incentive, basically. How was it for you, pal? Any highlights on that?
Yeah, it was a great. I mean, there were so many highlights. It was just fun from start to finish. You know, I thought the party bus was a great addition when we arrived in Tampa. That was such good fun. Same with the pool party. I mean, there was so many. It was a fantastic trip. Absolutely loved it.
Nice, awesome. Well, it's not all just fun. We do actually do work. Well, you do. You do work. I do something. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about. I'm keen to really talk about like your journey. Europe is still an interesting piece. It is still an interesting piece. I'm really keen to talk about that today. But why don't you kick us off by give us a bit of an introduction to yourself, like who you are, where you come from, and what you do, basically.
Yeah, so I am the business manager at IO for the European engineering division. So largely me and the team recruit for engineers into mainly aerospace, space, defence sectors across Europe. I've been doing this now for 10 years-ish. God, I feel old when I say that, Tyler. But yeah, 10 years and counting. So yeah, that's essentially what we do.
Nice. You're only 3 or 4 years older than me, pal. You're only 3 and 4 years older than me, so do not worry. Awesome. Why don't you give us a bit of insight into your journey so far then? So I said before you join into everyone, you've been with us for just shy of 2 years. I think it was August 2020 when you joined. Give us an insight into your journey so far, and give us some more insight into your specialism as well.
Of course, yeah. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this for 10 years. I did initially UK for about three or 4 years. I kind of fell into Europe almost by accident or by pure chance. There was long story short, there was an office in my old company that kind of closed down. And I kind of put my hand up and said, well, what are we doing with that? The answer was nothing. So I thought, well, I'll pick that up and do that myself.
I'll
So
do it.
that was, yeah, 2015 I did that. And I've been in Europe ever since. So I've kind of, yeah, I mean, I left my last company back in August 2020. No, there was nothing bad about the company as such. It's just that it was a big corporation. They changed kind of their tact, and that's why I decided to move on and start something fresh somewhere and grow something new from the ground up, which is how I've grown to do what I do.
Yeah, and well, certainly I've seen as well from looking into the markets. I said over the last few years, more and more agencies have started to shift their business model, looking more into Europe. Why Europe? Why is it so exciting for UK-based businesses to get involved with European markets?
I think well, there's several reasons why. I mean, of course, my completely unbiased opinion that Europe is a better market than the UK. But I think initially, the initial attraction, I think, for a lot of agencies will probably be around the fees. Yes, you do and you can command larger fees in Europe, but it is a completely different way of working. The Europeans, even down to each country, do business in very different ways. It is more geared towards relationships, probably, and I would say probably less transactional than the UK. So we are finding more and more UK agencies are interested in doing that, probably initially attracted by the fees, but you later learn then actually it's a completely different way of doing business.
Why is that? Why is it a completely different way of doing business?
So relationships matter, probably more so than most, and there's a lot more moving parts. So, typically in Europe, the culture to relocate is far more common than it is than in the UK. So, from a candidate side as a consultant, you really get to know your candidates because there are so many moving parts. You talk to these guys about their family, their kids, their relocation, their houses. The process is typically quite long as well compared to the UK. Notice periods of 3 months as opposed to 4 in the UK. So the natural course of the recruitment process, you get to know your candidates pretty well. Similarly with clients on the client side, they really value what we do. They do see us as consultants. So they will come to you and say, listen, we need advice on this. Can you help us with this? I've had clients come to us and say, hey, look, our recruitment page, what do you think? Can you give us some feedback on that? And then they've implemented some changes off the back of things that we've suggested. So the relationship aspect is far more prevalent in Europe than in the UK. It's a less transactional scenario.
And almost like bigger commitments and drivers to move, right? Having those longer periods of time of having that communication with your candidates. And in a way, quite fit into yourself though, right? Because obviously you were with your previous agency for a long time, a good few years. And what I typically find is that the longer you're embedded in recruitment within a business, it's got to take something big to make you want to leave. So why did you make that leap to IO a few years ago?
So the reason I made the leap to IO was, as I mentioned earlier, I worked for quite a large international company, very well-known brand. They, excuse me, so they decided or had a change in strategy. So what they wanted to implement was kind of in-country specialists globally, which is obviously the polar opposite of what I was doing, right? So I was working in the UK, ironically doing nothing in this country, doing everything in Europe. Because of that, it was kind of difficult for me to get the team to grow or get investment or get things I needed or what I felt was needed. So I got to the point where I was like, okay, I had a great desk. I loved the guys that I work with, but I was, in my opinion, too comfortable. And if I'm being completely honest, probably a little bit bored. Okay. So I decided at that point, you know what, maybe it's time to do something new. And as you said, I'd been there for 9 years at that point, which is a long time in the recruitment world.
That's going to be alien to quite a few people, though. You're billing well. How on earth do you become bored?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it gets to a point where, I mean, don't get me wrong, the money was great, having an established book and a great desk. But, I'm the type of person who loves a challenge, right? I love to keep busy. Kind of treading water isn't really my thing. It doesn't really suit the type of person I am. So, at the time, my timing, it wasn't great, to be honest. Obviously, it was the middle of a pandemic. I just had my son was born in the middle of all of that as well. So it was a busy time for me personally, but I don't know. I just don't see the value of working just treading water. I didn't feel like I was adding any value to the company I was working at, essentially, either. I wasn't really doing them my best effort, or wasn't giving them my best efforts. So I think, if you get into a point where you're comfortable and you're just treading water, I think it's time to move on in general. If you don't challenge yourself, then you'll never progress. Yeah, in my opinion.
No, it's a fair point, and regardless of what industry you sit in as well. Actually, since you joined, you've obviously essentially really helped us launch IO EU. I know we had previous experience and previous clients that we did working with Europe, but IO EU wasn't really a thing. Tell us about that journey, because obviously it's really kicked off. It's really hit off massively. So give us some more insight into that, if you don't mind.
Of course, yeah. So the European journey, it's not easy to set up in any division at any company, right? Especially something from scratch. IO EU engineering wasn't a thing at all. We had kind of no European contract runners or placements that I'd known of. So we had to build everything from scratch, which was a bit like, it felt at the time almost rewinding my career a little bit, because I think, I remember this from 2012 and building a desk. But it was good fun. It's been a great journey. Support's been amazing, to be quite fair. Like, I had lots and lots of help. from colleagues and everybody here at PRG. So it's been a good journey. I've enjoyed it. We're established now. I've got a team of EU on the whole has grown in that 18 months from just me to 16 heads. And we've got another person starting at the end of the month. So it's been really big growth very quickly. Which has been a learning curve for me as well, I guess, as a manager, trying to manage that. It's like the polar opposite of what I'm used to. But yeah, it's been a good journey so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I think support is a key word there, which you mentioned, because I think it's no fault to businesses. It really isn't a fault to recruitment business at all. But sometimes I feel like it can be common when someone brings in a senior recruiter or a business manager into the business that they're up and running and they're all good to go. But actually, you sit on the billing manager training with me, but you've obviously previously been a manager, right? Like, is that generally helped you? Has that helped your business? Has that helped you grow this new and emerging team? We've seen the heads that come to join your team as well.
Absolutely. The support is key, as you mentioned. PRG have been great in understanding. Yes, okay, I'm an experienced recruiter. I've been doing this for a while now, but there was no expectation of us setting the world on fire within the first year. It was all about growth, and still is. To some extent, it's about growing the team and building the proper foundations. The training here at PRG is largely really well known. Of having a great L&D team and lots of support. Yeah, shout out to Tracy on that one, and L&D Lee and the rest of the team. But yeah, I certainly the same billing manager training as you, because there's always things to learn, right? I might have done something at some point in the past, but that doesn't mean I can't learn anything from another session. So, and I like my team the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced recruiter or not. If there's training sessions that pique your interest, or you even just go for a refresher, jump on them. Why not?
Yeah, no, it's true. And let's talk about the team, right? It's a new and emerging team. Talk about that growth, because you've recently hit your first financial year as a manager, haven't you? Let's give us some more insight into that journey, how your team has grown, how your team is coming on.
Yeah, so my specific team, so at the moment I'm on 7 heads. We started with obviously just me. Our first financial year has gone really well. The drive is still there. We're still recruiting. We're still hiring. As I mentioned, I've got another starter coming at the end of this month. I'm interviewing somebody else today for another head. So you guys in internal recruitment are keeping me really busy. But it's great. It's exciting because I get to see. We have a mix. I have some senior people who have done recruitment before, but also some brand new people who have never done this job. And it's great to see them all doing some great successes in different ways. But yeah, it's great to see them all succeed and achieve what they want to achieve.
And you've mentioned obviously that you're hiring at the moment. You're continuing the trend of we want to grow. If there is anyone who's watching this, potentially with an particular interest in Europe, maybe has like a language as well, like German or French or Italian. Is there any particular qualities that you look for your team?
Yeah, you'll know this from helping me recruit for the team, Tyler. But I don't dwell too much on a CV. My background. Before recruitment, I was a doorman, right? So you wouldn't believe it, but I was, and I did that for 5 years. So if you'd have judged my CV at the time on its face value, you probably wouldn't have recruited me. Somebody gave me a shot. I'm very much of the opinion when I look for new people for the team is I'm less about academic backgrounds and university degrees and more about the person. We can teach engineering, I can teach you how to recruit. All these things are teachable. In my opinion, you can't teach attitude, drive, and motivation, right? So those are the three things that I tend to look for most. And you'll know this. You send me a CV, I'm like, yeah, set up a call more often than not, and give me 10 minutes with somebody, and I'll gauge whether or not I think they're right for Europe. But yeah, it's more about attitude than anything else.
Amazing. And obviously on the flip side to that as well, if I was watching this and I was an experienced recruiter recruiting in a UK market right now, why would I be tempted on doing something completely new and a new challenge like going into Europe?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it's a challenge. So that's one reason to do it. I mean, secondly, it depends on the person, right? Europe doesn't suit everybody. You know, I'd be lying if I said it did. But it depends. You know, if you're a type of consultant that really likes to build relationships with clients and, you know, get to know them inside out and do the same with candidates, then yeah, Europe is a great market for that. You know, yes, it does have a reputation for being slower paced, and it is. It's true. It's slower than the UK, and that can be really frustrating at times as a consultant. But it's part and parcel of the market that we work in, right? You know, the good news is that, you know, we get to go and visit these clients, right? And I get to go understand the cultures, because everybody is different. Each country is different in Europe, of course. So there are lots of benefits to working in the European market. You know, it's if you're a consultant that's got fed up with the transactional nature of the UK, then, you know, and you value those things, just like me and the rest of the guys do, then yeah, Europe is probably a good move.
Nice, awesome. And let's wrap it up by talking about the future. What's next for IO EU? What have you guys got your sights set on? Is there any new markets that you're keeping an eye on? What's next?
We've always got our eyes on markets. You know, we've got the luxury of being a smaller team, right? So generally, when I get guys join the team, we usually sit down and think of some viable markets together. That could be some technologies or industries that they're particularly interested in. If it's a viable market, then we'll go at it. Right? You know, I'm a bit of a self-confessed nerd, you know, and I actually genuinely have an interest in what my clients are doing. You know, I like their technology and what they do.
Does help.
Exactly, and I want the same for the team, right? I want them to do and have the same interest in their work than I do, which is why we generally have that freedom in terms of development for the team or for the division. I mean, obviously Europe is a much larger landmass than the UK, so, you know, as you know, PRG is what, 200 plus heads now. I lose count, but I think we're past the 200 mark these days. Europe absolutely has the scope to be bigger than that. Of course it does. You know, looking maybe 5-10 years into the future, but, you know, I'd love to see European offices, you know, and some specialisms and hiring teams to set up teams across Europe. I think that's where we'll be heading next, which is what we've done with the USA divisions, right? So yeah, it'd be good to see Europe go down that same path.
Amazing, awesome. Dewey, thank you so much for joining me today, mate. Look at that, eh? Managed to fill 20 minutes of chat. Look at this, eh?
Look at that. Thanks for having me, bud.
Not a problem at all. And obviously, thank you for everyone who's joined us live and any future viewers as well. Like I said at the beginning of the video, my name's Tyler. I work for Precision Resource Group and the internal recruitment team. This is Tyler Talks. Thank you very much. See you later, Dewey. See you in the office.
See you later.